All right. So how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good. Good.
We've already met, but let's make this formal. Kyle Hall.
Christy James.
Very
nice to
nice.
meet you.
All right. So thank you for having me here for
Absolutely.
the clinical teaching. I really appreciate that. First, I think we should look over the Teach Now clinical rubric.
All
So
right.
this is what you're going to be assessing me on.
Okay.
It's not going to be all. It's 10 standards, which a lot of these are going to be. They're going to make sense once we read them.
All right.
You'll be scoring me on 1 through 4. Or if you don't think that element's present in the video, you can always give me a 0 and we can work on that.
All right.
Now, through this whole time, I'm going to be submitting 3 videos.
Okay.
And then the first video is going to look at, I believe it's the first 4 standards.
Okay.
But let's go over the standards. So the first one is learner development. Candidate understands how students grow, develop, recognize patterns of learning and development, vary individually and within across the cognitive, linguistic, social, emotional, and physical areas. Design implements developmentally appropriate and challenging learning experience. What I'm looking for is to be proficient in each of these.
All right.
Outstanding obviously would be outstanding, but
Right.
yeah. So for this first one, I'm going to want to be using instructional strategies that are developmentally appropriate for students based on their strengths, interests, and needs,
Mm-hmm.
and understands how students construct knowledge, acquire skills, and develop disciplined thinking, individual differences. So this is knowing your students and
Right.
being able to teach. Like, obviously, the students we're going to have here are going to be drastically different from the
Yes.
students I'd be teaching in Connecticut.
Absolutely.
So this is basically knowing
Okay.
who you're teaching
Okay.
and being able to keep it relevant to those students.
Yeah, and even within San Diego High, we have very different backgrounds. of
Exactly.
students, so-
Even within all the
Yeah.
schools, it's different.
Yes, definitely.
All right. This next one, learning environments. So let's see here. Kant works with others to create environments that support individual and collaborative learning, encourage positive social interaction, active engagement in learning, and self-motivation.
All right.
So I want to be able to collaborate with students to establish a safe, positive learning climate,
Okay.
classroom that supports respect among students.
Excellent.
There's a lot going on here,
Yeah,
but we can
okay.
obviously work through that. And it's as I said, it's going to be in like 3 different sections.
Okay.
So we'll be able to concentrate on like a few standards at a time, and that's what I'll be
Yeah.
focused on displaying that through my teaching
Okay.
here.
Okay.
So as far as ideas for kind of what we're going to be doing lesson-wise, let's see here, it won't be this week, but the week following.
Okay.
So that would be the week of October 23rd.
Okay. Well, kind of like you said, I just did some assessments on the kids
Mhm.
on Friday because we've been doing a couple different things. We did order of operations in my applied math class
Yeah.
and fractions, and they are still struggling with fractions. So I want to continue with the fractions lessons so we can. I think if you can bring other stuff to the table for the
Mhm.
fractions, because fractions are very boring.
Yeah.
And they don't understand it. And I've done just straight fractions. I haven't done a lot of like real world stuff.
Okay.
So we can do like pizza, cutting up pizza, cutting up cake, something that they'd be totally into. Especially if we had cake or pizza,
I could probably arrange that.
they would totally be into that. And we also need to work on making change. And I've tried to bring some
Okay.
real world stuff in because for applied math, these kids aren't going to graduate. They're not going to get a diploma,
hmm
but they need to know how to do basic math, how to make change, what to expect for change. And so that's kind of the next areas I want to go into. And I need to, I'm trying to tie it in with integrated math as much as possible, but
Mhm.
the gen ed classes, so we're touching on little parts of it. And I work with kids in regular math, and I don't know that these kids can approach that. So maybe you can help me come up with ideas on how to make the grade level math accessible to our kids,
Absolutely.
or at least parts of it.
Yeah. I'd
Okay.
be very interested in
Okay.
kind of brainstorming and
Yeah.
figuring that stuff out.
Yeah.
As far as tools and manipulatives for that for like the making change and things like that, do you have anything?
Yeah,
here?
I have like the the fake money.
All right, cool.
Actually, it's in my shed. I have to get it, but I have it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'd like to do that. That sounds good.
Yeah, they'd be into it.
Cool. So that kind of will get me started in there. And
Yes. Yeah.
I know I'm already familiar with the students, but
Right.
that'll get me kind of just get them used to me leading the class, and that'll be good.
Yeah.
So, are there routines that you have in this class that are ingrained that we should keep going?
There are. So when the kids come in, I automatically give them two multiplication tests.
Kind of like what I did.
Kind of like what you did. Yeah,
right.
Just to get them focused on math.
Mm-hmm.
I find when I don't do that, then they're on their phones and they're taking a while to get focused.
Mm-hmm.
And I do time tests, and they seem to love the time tests.
They do like that.
They
don't
do. They are totally into it.
Okay.
And the one student in particular, Tate, he wants to be done first, and that's his reward.
Classroom expectations.
Classroom expectations. I expect everybody to be respectful and to participate in the lessons. I have a couple of kids that try to not do it. I don't want to do it. I want to sleep. Do the work. But it's a lot. It depends on the student. And as you get to know the student, you'll know which ones you can talk to in front of the class and which ones you need to talk to them over to the side.
Fair enough.
And last year I had kids that didn't want to do anything and tried calls home, tried everything, and they didn't care. So those kids, you try to keep them engaged. You try to reach them on different levels. Dude, you're going to need this for, if you want to graduate, you're going to need this, for real life.
Yeah.
And come up with scenarios where they would need it. And sometimes it's a struggle, but like reading or writing, when I taught applied English, you're going to need to fill out a job application. You need to know how to do this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I know you think it's silly, but you come up with how it would apply to their lives, and that tends to get them if you can find a scenario that it would apply to.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all interested in things that apply to ourselves, right?
Right.
Not looking at a list of standards.
Right.
But obviously, the unit that we're working with, we're looking at fractions and just practical use of money and things of that sort. So kind of addition, subtraction.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times, especially for the applied class, because there are no standards for us to meet, because these are non-diploma bound kids.
Yeah.
You look at first grouping them appropriately between the two classes, and then what do they need to work on to get by in life? What are they interested in? And money's always a good one.
Yeah.
Order of operations. How often do you use order of operations? Except in school, but it's something that as long as they know that this is what the regular kids are doing in math, they're into it. They buy into it, and it's something that they can achieve. Carlos uses his multiplication chart. He always said, or use a calculator. And he says, I have the right to do this. It's on my IEP. And I said, okay, try doing it without it. And that's why we do the math bingo, because he's learning his facts, and he's so excited now. And he's like, I did that without my calculator. I did this without the sheet.
That's awesome.
So it's just a lot of repetition, and that's what the kids use, a lot of repetition on their basic skills to make it more ingrained for them.
So that's kind of, in a nutshell, kind of the objective, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
No, that's kind of what it sounded like.
Yeah.
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 Perfect. And then I know I'll understand this as as I get to know the kids even better, but are there any modifications or differentiation or like?
Well, like with Carlos using the calculator, if he needs it. So it's differentiating a little bit. So they still get the same level of work. I've tried giving them different types of work in the same class, and some of the kids, they get upset because they know they have something different.
Yeah.
So I try to give them just accommodations, modifications. Brandon had been out for a while, so when we did the test on Friday, he hadn't been here for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's like, just do the best you can, and just try to do the problems that and so I try to get something that all of them can access.
Yeah.
Some need more guidance than others. Some need me to go through every problem, which is fine. I'll go through every single problem with them. Others think they know how to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to get started and jump in. And
I think you're going to be great for this. We're excited
you.
to have you here. The kids are so excited.
I'm excited.
They keep
I'm
asking
just
when
anxious.
you're starting.
Yeah. So at